Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. It's from a guy, he is in his early to mid-30s, and he's going to share his story about events that happened about 12 years ago when he was in college, very early 20s and all that. And I got to tell you guys, this is quite the entertaining story. I had a lot of fun reading this. I think you guys will enjoy listening to it as well. And it's all about, like I said, things he went through when he was in his early 20s, mistakes he made, red flags he ignored, all because he was a late bloomer. And once he got that hot girlfriend, he did what a lot of guys do, make mistakes, ignore red flags, major things about her personality, put up with so much BS you wouldn't believe because she was hot and he was young and he was finally getting some. Right? And like I said before, it's pretty entertaining to read. I had fun reading this, and it really is going to, for a lot of you guys are older, you're going to look back when you hear this, and even though you're going to want to slap the kid, and believe me, I do at many points in the story, you got to laugh because it's almost like watching a movie about your past and the dumb things that we all did. But there's a lot of learning here about what not to do. And this is, even though it happened a while ago, it can help young guys out along the way to not make the same mistakes he did. Because a lot of these stories have very similar lessons, and guys do the same things. Doesn't make a difference where they are in the world, how old they are, the time period. Guys do what they do, women do what they do, and we can all learn from this and get some entertainment along the way. Now, this is a long one, guys. You can see by the length of this video, so I'm going to get right into it. Minimal commentary, just to, because it's going to be long. So it starts off, he says, hey, SSM. I've been following your channel recently, and I've listened to many stories, so I thought I would give mine. I guess you could say this is a transformation story. This story takes place about 12 years ago. There's a lot to say, so please bear with me. I'm a bit of an introvert, but that never was a hindrance much. Throughout my childhood, I went to local schools, so many of the people I grew up with went to the same schools as me. So the environment wasn't too alien. And despite me being on a more slim side, I guess you could say I'm a fairly handsome man. So in high school, most of the girls I talked to either introduced to by someone or they came and approached me. With high school ending, I entered college, which is a brand new environment. Now, with regards to talking to people, in particular women, I now had to be the one to approach them. This was a bit difficult for me. Anyway, this new environment mixed with new social rules, topped with an upper-dosed Adderall. I was diagnosed with ADHD and still have it as an adult. And he says I've been off the meds for years. Began to increase a bit of social anxiety. At one point, people thought I had Asperger's syndrome, but it turned out just social anxiety kicking in, as a shrink later told me. I had a friend that was in the band, so him and his bandmates knew I was chill, so they always invited me to share to their shows and parties, but yet I couldn't bring myself to do it. And there was this one girl I had in class, and we hit off very well. Later I began to realize she was showing indicators of interest. She invited me to her new apartment to come meet her dog, and even suggested we get coffee. It was only that my younger sister actually later told me, but I screwed myself, and I should have asked her out right then and there. But by then it was too late, she no longer was interested. Realizing this, I knew I needed to make a change. We're leading up to the good stuff, guys. Just bear with me here. Or bear with him. It says, now I like to get knowledge from many sources. So one source I began reading was from the pickup artist community. I don't necessarily believe in all that stuff. I just wanted to make that a part of my own curriculum. So I bought The Game by Neil Strauss, joined forums, watched videos, read more ebooks, etc. Hell, I even asked my two younger sisters, and he says I'm the big brother in the family, by the way, for advice on how to make small changes to how I dress. Since I have always had their backs, now they got mine. They went with me to stores to get me better outfitted. So besides all that, plus some of what I read and discussed online, I decided to try dating. I ended up going with these two girls. One was my age, the other was already 2 years older than me. So you can see, guys, this guy was a late bloomer. He didn't have much experience in high school, which a lot of guys don't, you know. But we eventually come into our own in our own time frame. So for you guys watching this that are young, don't worry. For you guys that do want to do dating and all that and hook it up, I'll say hooking up, dating, and relationships. But they all kind of come together. You can be a late bloomer, but don't worry, you got plenty of time. No rush. But focus on your purpose first. He says, I ended up deciding to mostly focus on the girl my age. He says, I should have juggled a few, but hey, I was just trying to get into the dating game. I think she was attracted first to the fact that I was kind of handsome, yet awkward kind of yet. She was currently working a job locally. She was from Canada, and I'm an American. After about 2 months, we decided to go serious. When I think about it now, there were very small warning signs she gave off that I should have noticed. Ding, 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 there you go. He noted, looking back, hindsight's 2020. He looked back. There were some red flags, but when you're young and you don't know any better, and you don't have that knowledge, and the girl's hot, and you're obviously not used to getting some, you let those things slide. So, she'll be different with me. Wrong. One of which was how I had a disagreement with her, and she said, well, maybe we shouldn't be together. The second indicator was that after she got out of high school. First, let me say, I don't hate people on who don't go to college. In fact, most of my friends never went to college, and I don't think ill or nor do see myself as a superior. It's okay, bro, we get it. They're awesome by my book. Anyway, according to her, she was going to get married to her high school sweetheart who already had a kid with another woman, so she decided not to go to college, something her parents actually encouraged to do and had money set aside for her. Well, okay, college is not for everybody. I got no problem with that, as long as you're pursuing something meaningful in terms of not just meaningful, but also a solid trade or something you can make a living from. Okay, it goes both ways for guys and gals. She told me she worked at a few nightclubs or high-end lounges working as a hostess, earning money from tips, and even did a bit of modeling. Well, when I hear nightclubs, I think, uh-oh. Girls are working nightclubs, bartenders, all that. It's like they're constantly surrounded by dudes. She said, then at some point, I think, she broke down crying, telling me that she stripped for a few bachelor parties. I'm beginning to think she did this as a way to get pity and try to get more emotional response. Okay, run. It's over. You had red flags before. Well, this is the huge one. She used to do that at parties. Go. That's her business. Some guys may not care, but I would advise you not to get involved with that. But he does anyway, and you'll see how things progress. Or should I say, degress. Although, like I said, I have no problem with someone who doesn't go to college, I care more about what they do. She is an intelligent girl, but only decided to rely on her looks to make money. This is something, to this day, I refuse to date a girl over. Hell, even her sister went to college and got 2 bachelors, so it's not like she didn't have a choice. I could also tell she was a bit jealous of her sister as well as me because we pursued education. So, you got major differences, okay? This is not girlfriend material for multiple reasons. The big, what she used to do at the bachelor parties, ding, ding, ding. But also, you're going to college and education is important to you, but to her it's not, and you can sense jealousy. People like that are going to try to sabotage what you try to achieve in life. Cut them loose. Back to the main topic. I at this point should have realized that I should have dumped her ass for that, but I didn't. I didn't even go to my friends, one of which already had 2 kids and was divorced, nor to my dad for advice. Around the time I was first going serious with her, I was still developing myself and wanting to break out of my shell. My friend has suggested film acting classes for us to do, and I read a bit about it and how it can help, so I decided to give it a try. Now, the first class, I was very nervous, but I didn't quit nor give up. It was something that was fun and I loved. By the way, later on throughout the relationship, she would say she brought me out of my shell when in fact it was the acting. That's an interesting idea. I never thought about that, and I learn something every day, guys, especially through reading your stories. If somebody's really shy and have a hard time learning how to be around people and public speaking, take an acting class. Or public speaking. That'll really help you out. Seriously, it's well worth it. Now here's where things seem to get messed up. Well, you're not kidding about that, brother. Mind you, this is all happening at the same time. I was still a virgin at this time, me being 23 years old, and still breaking out of my shell and going to acting classes while dating this girl. She and I go to a hotel where we eat dinner and get a room for Valentine's Day. We end up doing the deed. She wound up on top of me without me getting a chance to wrap myself up. Smack. Dude, is it worth it getting her pregnant or catching something? You're out of your damn mind. And I know you know better, 23 years old. I knew she was on birth control at the time and saw the pack nearby. Seeing as how it was my first time, well, it didn't last long, and so let's just say she had to go rinse herself out in the shower. Yeah, I can imagine, dude, if you weren't wearing protection, it was your first time, you probably shot her up to the ceiling like freaking Old Faithful. She was probably in the shower for half an hour using a hose to get all that out. Good Lord, man. But smack your dumbass for not using protection. Always wear protection, guys. Always. I don't care what she says. If she's on a pill, then you get rid of that protection. Anyway, the next morning arrives and I feel like a fresh new man, but I'm still worried about the no condom part. So I ask her about whether or not we should go to the pharmacy so I can buy a morning after pill. In which she says, no need to, I'm on birth control, remember? So I thought nothing of it, but still had this fear in the back of my mind. Well, trust your gut. One day I was in my dad's office. He had a small business he owned, so I worked there part-time while in college, when she sent me a text message saying she needed to call me and she was worried. Gee, I wonder why. So I went outside and called her on the phone. She told me she took a pregnancy test and it showed that she was pregnant. Bet you wish you wore that protection now. Your first time ever and your girl gets pregnant. Let this be a lesson, young gentlemen watching this. I was worried shitless now as I didn't want to give up my education. Same thing happened to me in the summer of '98. I thought I got my girl pregnant for a week waiting for her results and her monthly friend. And believe me, that was the longest week of my freaking life because that time I didn't use protection. And thank the Lord, she got her monthly friend, no little SSMs run around. And I never ever made that mistake again, guys. Always wear protection. 1 week goes by and she begins to get symptoms of sickness and begins bloating a bit. We were talking about this and how it could ever happen. Then she told me that she also took medication for anxiety, which could, hear this out, cancel the effects of her birth control. Now she tells you. She even told me she had a pregnancy scare in the past, but it was negative. So I'm wondering why she wouldn't be thinking ahead. Part is my fault, as I should have been more wise. Oh well. Yeah, part of it's your fault, and it's also her fault. And guess what? She said she's had the scares before. So this is something this has happened before. Dude, aren't you wishing you would have cut ties with her a while back? Now you got something to deal with. We decided first to go and take care of it early on. So we drove to Planned Parenthood. The second she saw the protesters outside, she freaked out and decided she didn't want to go through with it. So I told her it was no problem and that we can have it and give it up for adoption. Of course, I wanted to see about keeping it a secret. She agreed, but also asked me if I decide not to give it away, what would you do? I, of course, said I would do my duty as a man. Remember, at that time, I'm also in class and in acting classes. I'm still not quitting my acting class as I love it. 23 years old and your future is ahead of you and your future's looking bright, and because of one freaking night when you don't wear protection, your first time I might add, look what happens. We're all dumbasses when we're young and in the heat of the moment make bad decisions, but see guys, this can haunt you the rest of your life. 1 more week goes by and her morning sickness gets a whole lot worse and her anxiety kicks in full swing. She's staying with me in my apartment and is taking off work. I had to be careful with her as my apartment complex was only for students to stay in and didn't allow guests to stay an extended period of time. So then she says she can't go through with it and we both agree to go get her the procedure, but at a smaller clinic. So we get there and I'm waiting there in the waiting room while she gets it done. Some hours later she comes out and we leave. Her attitude is cheerful and she acts like a huge burden has been relieved. She no longer feels sick, so we go out for lunch. Like that? She's cheerful after going through that, and you go out to lunch. Now, I don't know what that's like, or anybody that's done that actually, but I can't just picture, everything's great now, let's go to TGI Fridays. More signs about her. Time to jump ship. Says here, she says she doesn't want to have you know what for a while since she had a procedure and she had to go on antibiotics and was worried about pregnancy, whilst joking telling me my sperm is too powerful. I don't mind, as I wasn't going to push her to do something until she was ready. Remember, she had anxiety and things like blood freaked her out. About 2 weeks later, I will admit I felt a bit depressed for a short while. It's understandable. A month goes by, I'm in my second acting class, and she's back to work. I had a scene partner that was a female, and we had to go over a scene together. So I met her at her place, and she lived not too far from my apartment. Nothing happened. However, I wasn't answering my phone. When I was finished, I looked at my phone and saw many phone calls and text messages with her getting worried. First, then switching to answer your phone, and what are you doing? Then finally with, wow, we are so through. I should have saw these as another sign to get rid of her, but I felt guilty about the procedure. On side note, I might add, in my first acting class, my teacher, who was an awesome lady, gave me the final scene in the class with a girl that had my kissing her on the lips. I first told my girlfriend about this, and it freaked her out. So I later lied and said I only kissed her on the cheek. I went and did the full mouth kissing. Haha, no regrets. So, more signs to get rid of her. I don't know how many signs the universe has to give you that she's trouble and she's going to be bringing you down and all that. But guys simply just don't learn. And guys, I'm just getting started here. So you can see the theme here, the lesson with this guy. The signs are there. She's acting crazy. End it. But again, remember, he's a late bloomer. This is sounds like his first girlfriend. Sounds like she's pretty hot. And so, again, remember, he only hooked up with her once. It's not like this has been a regular occurrence and then the crazy came out. The crazy started pretty early on, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Cut him loose. You got plenty of options. And at that age, focus on your purpose. Because what guys remember, and this is an example, what if she kept the baby? He'd be responsible for that child if they decided to raise it, and you could tell he would. And a guy should be responsible if, it is his kid and she has it for the child. But seriously, the decisions you make and what you do in your teens and early 20s pretty much sets the pace of how your life is going to go. So for you younger guys, really pay attention to that and think twice before you do certain things. No one really spoke to me like this when I was younger. No one really laid it out like that. I wish somebody did. There were things I could have done better. Absolutely. Anyhow, so we make up, blah, blah, blah. Finally, sometime later, my second acting class was over, and I got a mini award for most improved. Even some of the women in the acting class were telling me I should do modeling as well. Well, I'm sure that was a nice ego boost. In the end, I can tell my acting teacher liked how much I improved, and even though I wanted to do a third class, school and studies had to take a priority. Unless you want to become an actor, at this point, you got your 2 classes in. Now focus on something that you can use to help you provide a good living for yourself. My girlfriend said she agreed too. Well, no shit. But I also could tell she was a bit jealous. Mind you, she was jealous a bit. Didn't like the fact that I had girls I knew since middle school on my Facebook, and even hated the fact that one of my best female friends called me babe, like she did everybody. Even when we went to a smoothie store after she left, she told me, that girl at the counter found you attractive. Keep in mind this jealousy bit. More signs from the universe. You don't need jealous types to give you shit when you have girls you're connected to on social media, or a girl is friendly with you at the smoothie store, or a girl you're friends with. Why take the drama in your life, guys? He continues, now remember, we haven't had you-know-what in several months. I, of course, not wanting to cheat, looked at prawn on webcams. She even said to me, I can always give you a BJ if you want, just ask. So one day, both of us come back from the gym, and I asked her. She gets mad and calls me selfish, blah, blah, blah. Another red flag. Well, I would say after the gym and you take your shower, then you bring it up. You don't come back from the gym all sweaty and say, baby, come over here and do it, when you're freaking all smelling like crap and sweating BO down south. Come on here, dude. Some time goes by and we have another picnic. She then asked me, so when are you going to ask me to marry you? Marry her crazy ass? I'm still feeling like I owe her something and feel guilty over her procedure. I first suggested her that I should meet her parents first and get her dad's blessing. I stupidly listened to her when she said I didn't need to and he'd be okay with it. And he says actually he was a chill guy, more to him later. So I got the ring, which my dad had originally given to my mom when they got engaged. He says they're divorced now, so my mom had it in a safety deposit box and proposed. Dumbass me. Smack. Yeah, dumbass you. You're not even out of college. She's a wacko, okay? Jealous wacko. You can't trust her. You gotta marry her, but again, first girlfriend, first girl he slept with, there's that attachment. This is the issue with late bloomers when they start having attention from girls. They make bad decisions. Time passes and I go to Canada to meet her family. Both her older sisters, the sister's husband, her mom, and her dad all welcome me and take a liking to me. Her mom, who was originally from England, liked the fact that I understood British humor, and so I didn't take offense to anything she said. Eventually, I graduated college. My dad suggested I take a little bit off before I start work. By this time, I'm 25, so her parents invite me to Canada again. I ended up going for about 3 months. Later on, my dad told me I should have been more like 2 weeks. 25? What the hell were you? What the hell did you graduate? What'd you go to school for? 25 to graduate with your bachelor's? Well, I'm poking around here, my man. And then taking 3 months, your ass should have been working. None of this go 3 months to Canada thing. You should have been on your grind getting your job or start in your career. I know I'm being tough on you, but these are important. I know that you're looking back and you would have done the same, but for young guys, I mean, months off to go do what? Come on, purpose. I spent the winter there. Her parents love me like a son. I go walking every morning with her mom while my girlfriend slept in late, with her excuse being, my dad is Cuban, so I'm Latina, and that means I get to sleep in late. And her dad even let me drive the car. While not rich, he's also a very smart guy and very good with haggling, and I enjoyed hanging out with him. Even her mom's parents, who are British, like me a lot. So the time comes for us to go to a courthouse to get the court document signed to get us legally wed. Something in me told me to hold off. Dude, something's been telling you from day one pretty much with this chick to hold off, that she's trouble. And that at least her family's cool, but a lot of guys end up getting involved with a gal and they really like her family, so they end up staying more for the family than her. Especially if they came from a family or home that, wasn't very loving or they weren't very close, and you go with a girl's family and you actually fall in love with the family, not her. Still no reason to stay. A little tip for you young guys. So the time comes to go to the courthouse, blah, blah, blah. Something in me told me to hold off. So I talked with her dad about it and said something like, as a man, I'm sure you can understand this, and that I should wait for myself to get a full-time job first before I marry your daughter. He agreed to this, so we told my now fiancée the news. Boy, oh boy, she didn't handle that well. She got upset, and when her dad and mom tried to tell her to reason with her, she began flipping out. Why you're putting up with this shit, I'll never know. And again, it sounds like you haven't been doing a whole lot of hooking up since the whole thing went down a while back. She better have been good looking, man. She better have had a sweet body, but then again, it's not like you were enjoying that body very much. Her parents were shocked. She screamed at them and slammed the door of her room very, very hard. Her parents saw a shocked look on my face. I then went in and calmed her down. Her anxiety takes a complete hold of her. It was at this time I knew I should end things. You think? How many signs from the universe have you gotten to end things? Let her be some other dude's problem. The girl's flying off the handle left and right. Deceitful. Can't trust her. So I'm still at her parents' house with her, finishing up my few remaining weeks. All the while knowing in my mind I will dump her. I'm being going on other dating sites to start looking for new prospects. Smack. Dude, I get that you're now coming into your own and women are attracted to you and everything, but get rid of her first and move on and focus on your purpose instead of now, while you're still with her, looking up dating prospects at the same time. That's what women do. That's what they do. They're with a guy and they'll find their backups and replacements while they're still with that guy. Don't be like women. The time comes, I finally get back to the States. I then break up with her. She calls me upset saying, you owe me, and I had a procedure. Then with, please don't do this to me. So I stupidly agreed to get back with her, and she came to the States to see me. Smack. How many signs do you need to have that this girl's trouble? Guys, we all have that one in our life that we just can't say no to. It even happened to me when I was younger, so I can kind of get this. And I told you guys, if you older guys looking back and seeing the stuff that he's doing here and more stuff, it makes you laugh because, we all were boneheads. Like him, obviously, he's with the girl, but he's already planning to break up with her and checking out his prospects. It's funny, but it's like, come on, man. Anyhow, now all of a sudden, she is wanting to have you-know-what. After over a year without doing anything. Bro, you went a whole year without getting any. Holy crap. I get for a while, don't get me wrong, after she had that procedure, but... So I go to the bathroom, and then when I come out, she is mad for some reason. She had seen that I was on a dating site before I initially broke up with her, and that threw her off the rails. So she literally poured perfume all over my laptop, ruining it. Great girl you got there. Now, you're the dumbass that was looking at those things and let her go on your laptop, and she was obviously checking out your browser history and all that, so you got caught. But also, she likes to snoop. And then ruined your laptop with her dumping her perfume all over it. You want to keep staying with this? Guys, you get a crazy girl, dump her. Move on. You don't need this shit. He says, this is where things begin to really get crazy. Are you telling me it hasn't been crazy already? I think we've all seen, I think the audience can agree here, that there's been plenty of crazy already. But okay. Over the next few months, she's staying with me while I first stay at my mom's home and then at my dad and granddad's house. She keeps getting mad and finding stuff, like more PORN websites, women I'm talking to, etc., even an adult hookup site I went to for the sole purpose of hooking up. If you're going to do this, at least cover your tracks, bro. End it with her. Send her ass back to Canada. She can go to Tim Hortons and meet some guy there, but you don't need her. Angrily, she starts arguments with me, won't let me sleep at night, and even hitting me while I'm sleeping to wake me up. I even protected myself once when she was trying to hit me, and I shoved her away, with her calling me aggressive and abusive. Even one time she called me a socio-something. I might add here that she was telling my mom about me looking at PORN. I overheard the conversation on the phone, and to my surprise, her mom was siding with me, saying to her that guys want sex and they'll look at PORN if they don't get it. I was like, damn, her mom gets us. Well, her mom sounds pretty cool. There was one time she got upset and began crying and started hitting her head on the wall. And there was even another time when I was driving that she got upset and literally tried swerving me off the road. Luckily, I was in a rural area and there was a giant grass median I could swerve into, as my granddad lived in the country. Yeah, her main control over me was always I had the procedure excuse. And you were the dumb ass that fell for it. But at the end of the day, look at all this shit she's doing. Again, more crap he's putting up with. I can imagine the comments in the comment section right now. Hot crazy scale, guys. Right there. And her making you feel guilty about the procedure. Well, it takes two to tango. She's the one that hopped on you and jumped on you before you had the chance to get protection. It's your fault, too. Let me make that clear. But also, she partaked in this. Okay? And she said she was on birth control, even though she knew there's a possibility that it wouldn't work because of her anxiety medication. And she's making you feel guilty? Come on. So she had my laptop, was looking at all my emails, Facebook, etc. Why are you letting her touch your laptop? Why are you letting her? Why does she know the passwords to your accounts? Log out of those things at least, for goodness sake. My family began noticing this too. Remember I told you she was the jealous type? Well, get this. My little cousins, whom were twins and both 12-year-old girls, simply said I look like some kind of handsome celebrity, and this got my fiance very jealous, saying shit like, since they aren't blood related, maybe one of them will steal you away when they become adults. Can you believe that shit? My God. Another time was my first younger sister. My first younger sister got married. She was mad that I was hanging out with the bridesmaids and groomsmen. I too was a groomsman. Well, that's what people do when before the wedding and after the wedding. They hang out with the bridesmaids and groomsmen. That's because of the wedding party. One day finally came. My dad told me I was going to work with him the next morning. The morning came and my dad said, let's go. And my fiance said she was coming with us. My dad, who is the dominant father type, told her no. And she said, well, maybe I'll go home then. My dad replied, if you keep up that attitude, I will take you to the airport. So shut up. Good for your dad. He doesn't want her as his future daughter-in-law. And my dad and I went to work. While driving my dad, I had a long father-son conversation. He mentioned how women can manipulate men even with just the promise of sex, and how he and the rest of the family can see I'm miserable and unhappy. He then suggested I should go out and see the world, telling me, if you are me, you're the same way I was. I know that if you keep working with me, you'll get bored and have regrets. Then he asked if I could ever consider teaching English abroad. I was skeptical, but he reassured me it's not hard and it's a good way to see the world. Convinced, I began searching online for programs. That is a cool way to do it. I got a friend who did that in Japan. He majored in Japanese in Hawaii for years, and then he went to Japan, I forget what city, and he taught English there for like 3 or 4 years. He had a blast. Came back, went to law school, now he's a lawyer. I found a program that enables you to get an English teaching certification whilst living in another country to do it. So it was decided I was going to go to Cambodia. I then went to my mom's house that night and needed a break from my girl. My mom also had a long chat with me. And when I asked her what my sisters thought of my current relationship, she said, they think you should get rid of her. Now, mind you, my sisters had my back since I had theirs growing up, and I hold them in high regard. They are conservative women and put family above all else. So I made up my mind that I would wait till my fiance went back to Canada, as she had only a few more weeks left. Dude, just break up with her. Get her the bus ticket or the plane ticket, whatever. Break up with her and send her ass packing. They all can't stand her. Your dad, your mom, your sisters, probably your grandpa. How much more signs do you need to get to do this? Grow a freaking backbone, be a freaking man, and end it. The next day, my dad sends me the confirmation email of my flight to Cambodia, and since my girl has my computer, she saw it. You're a bonehead. Younger you is a bonehead. Don't let her see your email. Don't let her use your laptop. She got upset, of course, so I lied to her and said it was only for 2 weeks. She bought it, but she knew which hotel I was staying at. Smack. Not very good at covering your tracks, sir, unless you wanted her to do that. I'm starting to think you actually enjoyed the drama. That's the only thing I can make sense of all this. The time came for her to go back to Canada, so I dropped her off, said goodbye, and left for the airport. In the meanwhile, I registered on another website to look for girls in the city in Cambodia just to see what kind of fish were out there swimming around. Honest to God. It's just hilarious to me because you're such a typical 20-something, and late bloomer. And I can't say that I wasn't in some ways like this in my 20s. Not my mid-20s like you are, but early 20s and late teens, yeah. It's funny, but it's like, come on, dude. Grow up. Focus on your purpose. Enough of this bullshit and drama with the girls. Especially this one, and get rid of her. I finally get to Cambodia, and I've finished my first week. I'm taking my first teaching exam. Whilst in the middle of it, one of the staff members comes to me and tells me I have a phone call. Gee, I wonder who's calling you in Cambodia. I tell them to tell the person I'm busy and that I will call them later or the next day. Remember, it's a 12 to 13 hour time difference. The hotel staff member told me the person said it was an emergency. My first thought was that something bad had happened in my family, so that got me very worried. I rushed to the front desk to answer the phone. Hello, I asked worriedly. I get a simple, hi. It was my fiance just wanting to say hello. No emergency at all. This, of course, pissed me off, but I remained calm. Well, you didn't break up with her, dude. Before you left, you should have ended it. Should have ended it a long time ago, but you should have ended it there. So this is on you. She then asked me, when are you coming home? I decided to let the cat out of the bag. I told her never. This shocked her, and she asked me, so you chose this over our love? I then happily replied, yep. She said, I never wanted to see you again. She then hung up the phone. I was free, finally. So I went back to my exam and finished. A week later, I hooked up with 2 different girls on separate days. Damn, it felt good to be alive. All right, get it out of your system. Go hook up and do all that, but wear freaking protection. But then eventually start focusing on your damn purpose. You can see at this point, this is what happens when guys don't at least have a little fun. It just builds up and builds up, and it just become so consumed by it, and they start losing their freaking heads. I'm glad it was done, though. It kind of sucks she turned out to be like that when you love her parents and family instead of her. You probably stayed with her a lot of it because of the family. All wasn't well, though. You see, she had messaged my mom and someone else in my family, telling them I was bad, blah, blah, blah. And I told my mom to have all family members delete my now ex. And even though I had my laptop, my ex had access to my accounts. So she locked me out of Facebook and email accounts. Smack. You didn't change your freaking password and login information. You're doing this and she can get into it. You're so focused on those dating sites and the girls you could potentially be hooking up with that you're not connecting the dots. Don't take a rocket science, bro. Luckily, I straightened that out by threatening to report her and accuse her of hacking, so I got my accounts back and changed all the info I could. Now all seems well for a few months. Some months later, I'm in China working as a teacher and have a new girlfriend who is completely opposite. So I post a picture of us online. My ex manages to see it somehow by going through my relatives' posts on their Facebook, as they not all deleted her. This apparently drives her ballistic. She begins messaging them saying I was an evil man again and I was into swinging. I wasn't. She got paranoid. And it was because I said I used to work at a video store. The swinger couple tried to pick me up, and the fact that I was on an adult dating website. She even went to my old regular dating website profile and put down under my profile, hi, I'm an a-hole who made this girl have a procedure. So I had to change all that as well. She knew how to get into the dating website you were in. Again, you weren't covering your tracks. I really hope that now as an adult in your 30s, bro, that you have a lot more common sense. And you obviously look at things and, take care of things and don't leave leave loose ends, if you will, whenever a situation goes down. And then I gotta wonder if you like the drama. There are some guys that like the drama. I don't know. Whether it was lacking in common sense when you're younger or you like the drama. I don't know. But honest to God, this girl, she's nuts, don't get me wrong, but you are just as bad because you keep her in your life. You didn't cut her loose. I know you know now, but yeah, I'm really giving a hard time to younger you. You needed me 12 years ago. My mom and I were chatting and mentioned how my ex is something to her like, we went through a rough time together. My mom asked me if this was an abortion, and not wanting to lie, said it was. My mom understood where I was coming from. I feel as though the whole ordeal, though, had stirred up some things within my family, as I wanted to keep things a secret. My dad didn't scold me, but let me know of his disapproval on the matter. Finally, every family member deleted her and blocked her, and she ceased to cause any trouble. Well, it's about damn time. One of my colleagues, another fellow foreigner, said she most likely has borderline personality disorder, which I now agree with. She's got borderline bitch disorder. That's what she's got. Chick's crazy. Now, here I am, almost 9 years later, in my mid-30s, and living in Asia still. Wow, bro, that's awesome. I've dated and banged a lot of women. Haha. I've had my ups and downs in relationships as well. Even did started cheating on a few, might I add. I seldom went after the easy ones, but I sure as hell didn't mind. I'd get the ones that required me to work on them a bit, and that was a bit of an ego booster. So notice he said here, he went after the ones that weren't so easy. Translation, he likes the challenge. Translation, he probably also likes the drama. Bro, you don't need that in your life. You don't need drama in your life. And I don't recommend cheating. You know my opinion on that. Just end it with the girls. Don't make you any more of a man by cheating on the girls. Just break up with them, because it will come back and haunt you. Guaranteed. Because one day you may fall for some chick. It can take a while, but you may, and she'll cheat on you. Karma's a bitch. It happens. All that is so in hindsight, I would like to say that the procedure at the time was the rational decision. It is to this day, still stays in my mind, and I never want to go through this ever again. Well, then you better wear protection, my friend. I'm all around happy at the fact that I have broken out of my shell and have been able to experience not just SCX, but the confidence to go out and talk to others. I know for a fact my acting teacher, may she rest in peace, will be proud of the confidence I've developed and how I changed my personality all the way around. I've learned my lesson and don't fall into traps anymore, and I'm very, very careful. Good, because you fell into a lot of traps. But you also brought a lot of drama and problems by your own actions. Even in the event of an accident happens and the condom breaks, if it's drunken sex, I keep a morning after pill on hand just to give to the girl. I want to write this as younger men can read about my experience and hopefully not have to go through the same thing such as this. He says those procedures, I'm not saying the A word because YouTube's a little sensitive, can take a toll out of you psychologically, and being with a girl who uses that as an excuse to manipulate and control you makes it all the worse. Try not to be as naive as I was about it, and just because you finally get a girlfriend, don't think that she's all you got. Make sure you are the catch, and the second you see any red flags, get the hell out, no matter how far you are into it. Exactly. For what it's worth, learning improv or acting can help you get better, and anything related to PUA, pickup artist, should be taken with a grain of salt. I do agree with that. If all seems too long, I do apologize. You can turn it into a 2 or 3 part story if you wish. Also, for any grammar or spelling mistakes, peace, y'all. Well, bro, that was quite a story. A lot of things young guys can learn from this. And for those of you who stuck around to the end, I appreciate that. But what have we learned here? Pay attention to red flags. Cut the hot, crazy scale again. Cut these girls out of your life that are a problem. And when everybody's telling you they're a problem, listen to them. And also cover your tracks, for goodness sake. Don't let your girl know your login and password information to your email and your social media and anything else. I thank the Lord, you weren't sharing bank account information with her. But that girl's crazy. You didn't need it, It's just unfortunate that you really liked your family, but then that had to be that. So a lot of lessons in this guy's journey to self-realization. But we're all on a journey, and so I figured this video would help a lot of guys out. I've been here talking for 39 minutes here. I'm losing my voice, so I got to get some water. But anyhow, guys, that'd be a good one. I definitely enjoyed reading this. So thank you, bro, for sending your story. I know I was tough on you throughout the video, but honestly, I was more tough on younger you. And this is what all guys need. They need to have somebody who can tell them these things. But unfortunately, they don't get that in their families, and it's rare they can get that from anybody else. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below and let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.